And all right, now with everyone here, I got my Coke. All three of us are here. Let's get started with the Nerdvana podcast by saying hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nerdvana podcast. I am John Murphy, as always.
I'm Ian Benoit. No shit.
It's nice when people
Tyler Ian.
It's nice when people up, especially when I'm not the one who up.
Yes. Tyler Ian.
And I would say this is a special Nerdvana episode, but every episode of Nerdvana podcast is always special. What makes this so special is because we are now talking about our first 2D animated movie, and well, judging by the title, and if you can read the title up above, you know what it is, and you kind of know. And if you're a fellow millennial like us, you know why it's special.
Oh yeah.
It is the 1993 first ever theatrical release of Batman, dubbed Mask of the Phantasm.
No.
Released in 1993, it was meant to be. It is following on the success of the animated series that came out a year prior. So instead of reviewing it in 2023, where for its actual 30th anniversary, we are reviewing it as the 30th anniversary of the animated series that birthed this.
Father John, I have a confession to make.
Confess your sins, my son.
I have never seen the movie before today.
Yes, today. You must, as punishment for your sins, you must view the Joel Schumacher Batman movie, Batman and Robin, at least 4 times.
We already tortured ourselves with that last year.
But
You're gonna freaking bring up the Bat credit card again?
No, I'm not.
This one slipped under radar. Mostly had to do with parents' intervention because they allowed me to watch Sub-Zero, but they thought this was a bit more violent,
And for good reason, actually.
Yes. So, but I will say, no. When I if we were to review Sub-Zero, I would give you a more nostalgic take on that. But giving my take on this from an adult perspective here, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have nostalgic vision for the Batman animation, but having never seen the movie here, kind of gets rid of that nostalgic feeling.
Which kind of gives it an interesting perspective because we have an adult, we have Tyler, who has an adult take on something nostalgic that we grew up on. Me, who has seen this movie since when it came out, especially on video during the days of VHS.
Oh, and yeah.
Yes. What is that, Ian Mouths? You know what that is. You grew up.
I know what that. I grew up with VHS.
Now,
and of course we have Ian, who actually came out during the end of what is considered a millennial. This is Ian. This is actually part of the same universe that Justice League and Justice League Unlimited are a part of, which you would have been young enough to see if you had a TV.
I had a TV. I didn't watch that.
Oh.
I was busy watching Steve Irwin.
Okay. Okay, that's fair.
That's fair. But no, to say the impact on this movie would be an understatement. To say of all the things that, going into it, I was not expecting how grand it was going to be. Compared to a standard episode of the animated series. I thought, Sub-Zero was pretty epic, but this one just it's like taking the budget of a Michael Bay movie and putting it for the forces of good.
Yeah. So anything directed by anyone other than Michael Bay.
Pretty much.
And like a lot of the live action movies, especially the two good ones, Batman '89 as well as The Dark Knight, it involves Batman and the Joker, surprisingly.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, you should have heard the text messages that Ian sent after he saw Mask of the Phantasm. He decided to send me vocal messages.
Yes, because this is the first time ever in an actual production that I heard Mark Hamill do his Joker voice.
Oh, shame.
Yeah,
I know.
Remember, Tyler, Ian has only heard of us mention Mark Hamill as being the Joker from our Dragons vlogs.
This is true,
because he was the voice of Alvin the Treacherous.
I know.
Another one of his great roles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I don't even think I could do that voice now, but I was geeking out so hard after I watched this. Because I'm like, I heard the voice, and I'm like, wait a minute. Is that... Pulls out phone, checks, click. Holy
Yep.
Now, John, when it started opening, how'd you feel? It was like a big grand entrance.
Okay.
Like, it didn't have to be showy, it just had to be grand.
Okay. Are you asking me when I saw that as a kid or looking at it now?
Both. Because
okay.
I'm looking at it now, I'm like, this was definitely not your standard episode of an animated series. You could tell that where the budget went.
As a kid, I fast forwarded through the opening credits.
Well, that's a kid thing to do.
And someone with ADHD as well. But as an adult, the music, okay, there is really no way that you can just mention this movie without all the decisions that was made to make it. And one, of course, is the music.
With the orchestral sound?
The orchestral, the choir that gives it that gothic feel.
Oh yeah. Oh.
And it's hey Butters. And it is and this was composed by the late Shirley Walker. Yeah, she passed away several years ago. I don't know when, but it is cited that she regards her work on this movie as the best work she's ever done.
Ooh.
And she composed a lot of the music for the animated series as well as the Batman animated series, which again is part of the DC animated universe.
You know, I will say one thing about this movie.
Only one?
One?
No, there's a lot, but the big thing I will say about this movie is this is the most I ever seen Bruce's emotions.
Yes.
This is the most emotional I have seen Batman. This is where you could practically see what lurks underneath that stoic exterior. The man who you can never get a beat on.
And the Playboy mask.
Yes. And I'm happy with how they done that angle. Because it shows such turmoil with this do we call him a boy? Man, he never really had a childhood to grow up. So it's just interesting on seeing him actually for himself.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of like it how this movie was essentially, this came out years before Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, and it was able to tell both of those stories cohesively, very, very well done in just over an hour. The time of this movie is listed as 76 minutes, and that includes credits.
Yeah, I was when I first found this to watch it, I was shocked at how short it was.
It doesn't feel short though.
No, it feels like a standard 2-hour movie, but it does a lot in that hour and 15 minutes.
That's how you can tell good writing, is that when something that's supposed to be in sort of a standard time frame, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it actually fit that time frame, even though it did in a way. And of course, there's the opposite of that, when a half-hour episode can feel like 2 hours.
Or 2 hours feels like 8.
Yes.
Ghostbusters 2016.
Okay.
Now, I do have to. My wife pointed out something that I never really thought about, and I'm thinking about this. I'm like, why did I never think about this? Jess, what is the time period this is supposed to be set in?
It's supposed to be set in the present, actually.
With those cars?
Yes. The whole point. Okay, hear me out. The whole world of Batman, of Gotham City, is if the 1930s World Fair just kept on going.
Okay.
So everything was Art Deco, from the cars to the buildings to everything. It never ended.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I didn't know what to give. Like, we were watching it, and she's like, is this in the 1940s, 1930s? I'm like, I think it's supposed to be present, but those cars, I'm like, movie magic.
I thought it was the 50s that it was set in, and it does not feel like the present at all.
I know it doesn't, but
the cars, the style, the clothing, everything.
But the computer.
But the clothing and the mobsters.
I know, but the computer.
Shit.
Butters. Dude, believe it or not, I grew up with the Adam West TV series. That looks exactly like that.
There is a little bit of that, and there's also a little bit of the Tim Burton Batman movie that inspired the animated series. Which is great. There's a little bit of everything. So there's a little bit of everything to the animated series and to this movie. There are points that are just that are dark and scary, like the chase through the graveyard, with those shadows and the shadows, the smoke, and that haunting music of the Phantasm's theme.
Speaking of the Phantasm, what do you guys think of the design of the Phantasm? The design that just shouts the ghost of Christmas future.
It is supposed to. I got the trivia open on IMDb. Interestingly enough, Batman does take elements from both Year 1 and Year 2 storylines of the comics. And in storyline 2, there's a villain called the Reaper. And it turns out the villain Reaper does have a daughter.
Nice.
So, and I loved it. I love this so much. I honestly think this is one of the best written Batman movies that was ever made. It definitely is up to par. with the likes of 1989's Batman and even The Dark Knight.
Oh yeah, it even has a good message about, you know, where's the line drawn about seeking justice and vengeance? Because, as Alfred said about near the end, no, he was always afraid that Bruce's heart would have been stained with vengeance, and he would have fell into that pit of vengeance.
It's a complex issue. The entire concept and analyzation of vengeance is a difficult issue, and one I'm currently seriously looking into for a story I want to write. But let's try to analyze this.
Okay.
I barely said anything, John.
I'm sorry. When it comes to analyzing, I think let's see if we can discuss this during our analyzation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's assume the audience has a cursory knowledge of Batman.
Okay.
Assuming so.
Yeah, you should know if you're watching this.
And of course, this is also for the older millennials.
Yes. But I mean, the entire concept of vengeance, as sort of explained in here, it could be a slippery slope, depending on the person and how they go about it.
I mean, yeah.
I think what was when I decided to rewatch this last night, and I think it shows kind of the difference between the experience between Batman and the person behind the Phantasm. Bruce experienced loss at a very tender age, a very young age. And so he had to deal with that rage and that feeling of vengeance for years. And so it was kind of tempered. The one who, whereas the person behind the mask of the Phantasm, title drop right there, was already old enough. And was old enough to not really know how to deal with that trauma, with that hatred, with that vengeance. Unlike Bruce Wayne.
Yes. It really comes with, and you can look at it as they're both foils of each other.
And that's what most Batman villains are. They are foils of Bruce Wayne and Batman.
But this,
at least some aspect.
But in this case, the aspect is the foil of your backstory, basically your motive.
It's let's see, family, happiness.
And back to Bruce's emotions. Like, it was shocking to see Bruce having like a breakdown, confessing to his parents, like he wants to continue for them, but he wants to be happy.
He didn't. Yeah, saying that he didn't count on being happy. I mean, just
and that's something.
How sad is that?
That is sad.
And that's honestly something I think more stories in the Batman universe, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of comics have done it, but these bigger budget productions don't really analyze that. And he was basically looking into this like, is he done?
Mm-hmm.
Like he starts trying to rationalize with himself more so than to his parents. Like he could give more funding to the police department to hire more officers and just a whole bunch of other stuff. That way he could stop being Batman because he couldn't keep being the Bat.
This was before he became Batman. This was all about doing this whole vigilante thing, with the whole ski mask.
Yeah. And it really shows about the complexity of Bruce's character.
Mm-hmm. My favorite scene is, and this is all centered around Batman's Mask of the Phantasm is a one part detective story, one part Batman story, but it's also part love. It's a love story. This is essentially Bruce's first love, and just
Only
like
love.
his only love. And just kind of like with the Amazing Spider-Man series, the one is that I can't see this character without any other person besides that one. This was written so Andrea Beaumont was written so well.
Oh yeah.
As a really great partner for Bruce, as well as a jilted lover.
Oh yeah. And oh man,
It was so great. Let's see. I kind of lost my train of thought because I had to introduce Andrea Beaumont. I don't know what I was.
Of course.
Andrea, like, you know, the weird thing. Like, she's an original character.
She is,
but
yeah.
She feels like it belongs.
Just like Harley Quinn.
Yes. Which, God bless the DCAU, they had done it again.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're just that good.
Which is a shame because Andrea Beaumont's character and the Phantasm did not appear until a Justice League Unlimited episode, good 10 years later.
That
was meant to.
Okay. I'm still kind of. I love that episode. I also hate that episode because it left a bitter taste about how I'm supposed to feel about Batman Beyond, which we cannot go into because it'll be too long to discuss.
We might have to wait till Return of the Joker.
Yeah.
And all right. So anyway, yeah. All right. Andrea Beaumont was actually voiced by Dana Delaney.
Really?
Yes, she was so good. The voice directors were actually so impressed with her performance as Andrea Beaumont that it's what got her the role as Lois Lane in the Superman animated series.
Nice. Blubber.
Butters.
But no, back to where we talk about the foils of the Mask of the Phantasm,
as well as Bruce's love life.
Yes. Well, okay. Let's go with the foils here because Mask of the Phantasm does a different type of terror. She's going to actually kill you, kind of terror.
And there we go. Yeah. If you haven't seen Mask of the Phantasm, pause it right now. Watch it. Come back here so that there's no spoilers.
Well, it's almost 30 years old, John.
And new people are born every day.
But yeah, the Mask of the Phantasm.
Most of the kids who already grew up with this movie, now they have kids of their own.
Okay, you too. How do you feel about the hook for a hand?
Love it.
I love it, but it's also impractical.
Yeah, but it's kind of classic shadow creature motif.
True.
Not really a hook. It's more of a bladed tiny scythe.
It's a little bit more practical than having an actual scythe. It is. At least it's not, because it's not heavy. It's not clumsy. It's small. It's small, compacted, and it fits most easily in most overhead storage bins.
True.
Yes, but with an actual scythe, you can put it down.
True.
I mean, how do you climb with that thing?
Exactly.
Use the hook.
Loop. That's not how that works. You loop it around, hang it from your belt, then go.
But no,
don't overcomplicate things.
And I love how where the Batman just goes for terror, just for the sake of terror. Like, it's the Batman. He looks terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
This thing comes out like a ghost. Like, I'm about to end you.
I love his catchphrase. Your angel of death awaits.
Exactly.
With me, I'd be like, it's about damn time.
Oh god, that is awesome. That's awesome. I don't know. I don't think the writers of the Bible could write something that scary.
Yeah. And
Michael Crichton.
I said the writers of the Bible. Michael Crichton wrote the Bible?
No, Michael Crichton couldn't write something scarier.
Okay.
And probably Stephen King, but I've never read any of his work.
ooh.
His text doesn't seem to translate too well to the screen.
This is true.
Debatable for recent years.
Yes. Anyway.
So, anyways, besides that, the smoke that the Phantom used, unlike the Dark Knight, who likes to use the shadows and the night as his cover. The Phantasm also uses more of a magician tricks with the smoke too.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that got Ninja Turtle vibes?
I guess so. Let's see. It is never fully explained how the Phantasm can just appear and disappear in that smoke, and honestly, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Leave something to mystery.
Yeah. That's
and that is kind of interesting. Like, it's a difference on stealth approaches too. Like, they're both related in more ways than one.
And they look they look so very similar from a distance. Which is kind of the whole point of the story, is that without even wasting any time, the Phantom just shows up. The Phantasm just shows up and actually starts killing off gangs, killing off mob bosses. But because it happens from a distance, people seem to mistake it for Batman.
Yeah. To which we got an asshole that's like, no, as Bruce Leroy calls it, how's the bat bashing?
Oh god. Yes, Mask of the Phantasm did not have a shortage of new characters. There were plenty of new ones. Some of them honestly should have been more than one-off characters. Phantasm, of course.
Yeah.
Others were just very well suited to be one-off characters, and also because they were written to be killed off.
Pretty much. Honestly, John, if there was a live-action movie and the Mask of the Phantasm appeared in the Batman live-action movie, how would you feel?
Conflicted.
For me, it would depend how they did it.
Yeah, conflicted.
I think for this type of character and story, this is a better format for it, because you can get away with a lot more in animation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the animation! My God.
Oh my God.
The animation.
There are actually times when the animation is fluid, and it's not doing it just for the sake of it. There's actual reason behind it, and the anime, and let's see. Just some of the action, especially the jetpack flying.
Oh my gosh!
That was all
jetpack.
That was all hand drawn.
Oh man, yeah.
I mean, I loved hand drawn animation. It's something you never see anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going digital. I mean, and Nothing against digital. I mean, dragons.
Yes.
But it's something that I think it's something of a lost art nowadays. At least in the bigger studios. I mean, smaller independent productions still do it, but...
Ian, I want to ask, do you know... I want to tell you some interesting trivia. I want to ask if you already know about it. You know what the animators do when they're drawing on the Batman the Animated Series as well as this movie? What kind of techniques they're using?
Techniques. Elaborate.
They draw on black paper.
Well, makes sense. Saves on ink.
Yeah,
Well, no,
and pencils.
Yeah.
So, they're drawing on black paper rather than on white paper to illustrate the dark, broody tone.
Exactly.
And so it's
saves on ink.
It's kind of a brilliant way to do it, especially when all you have to do is just add white to
various shades of white and gray.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And as an artist or something of an artist, I can appreciate that.
I mean,
take the artists, easier way.
Most artists would go with the white paper.
Mm-hmm.
it really depends though on what style you're going for and how much time you got and what's easiest.
Mm-hmm.
If for Gotham City, it's easier, unless it's neon lights, black lights, Batman and Robin. But we've set a piece about that. It's easier to do it, especially in an animated format on black paper, because it saves on ink, saves on time, lets you focus more on the actual animation.
And you can actually control the shadows without having to really just draw shadows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it kind of provides a contrast. Let's look at Metropolis and Superman comparing to Gotham City here.
Mm-hmm. It looks so futuristic. I mean, Metropolis and Gotham City is like night and day.
One's perpetually stuck at night.
It almost appears to be stuck at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gotham City at night usually can have like a red sky. Metropolis at night has a blue sky, and there's a bunch of stars.
Yeah.
Well, light pollution.
But no,
I don't think there's light pollution in Metropolis.
I do have to ask
you guys, city.
John, what's your thoughts on the Joker's laugh? I think Mark
Really?
outdid yourself with his laughter.
Which laugh?
Marky.
The last laugh when
his last laugh
blowing up all around him.
Don't let Mark Hamill Joker near a set of the Mythbusters. Don't do it.
Everything's crumbling down, and he has to have that last good laugh.
I think it's simply because that is what amuses him. Complete destruction, chaos. And also the fact is, I'm gonna die here.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it turns out that Mask of the Phantasm was meant. They wrote it as a way of actually being the end of the animated series. They thought that it was going to end. I guess they weren't. I mean, they thought, hey, we were successful enough to get a theatrical movie. We'll probably won't get a second season. Nope.
Well,
they got the second season
with a design overhaul.
Not that second season. Not the New Adventures.
Okay. But it's very memorable. I'm not gonna lie.
It is.
I mean, if I would have seen this as a kid, my mind would have been blown away by how everything seems huge. I would have been screaming at the screen why do you think Batman's a bad guy?
Because people are stupid and dumb.
Mm-hmm. And also because he's operating outside of the law. And now they think, yeah. Okay.
How many times have we seen that trope in superhero movies?
A lot. Okay, the rating. The rating is PG. A PG animated movie where there's blood, punching, kicking, someone's tooth gets knocked out, someone gets shot at, someone gets
crushed by a giant tombstone.
And there's death. There is death in a PG animated movie. Someone please wind back the clock on me so we can get animated movies this mature. So we can get animated movies that treated kids like they were smart.
And keep in mind, this was the 90s when it came out.
Don't you know,
early
John?
90s, 93.
Don't you know, John Ian? No, cartoons are for kids.
Uh-huh. Well, apparently, Ebert and Siskel did not seem to think that. Yes, Siskel and Ebert in 1995, they actually went out of their way to review this movie, saying that, and it came out in 93. They said that we never got to see it. We never got to see it, and that was a big mistake because it is terrific. It is great. Yeah. The king of critics, who of course, Tyler, as we know, can be wrong from time to time. Yeah. Home Alone. And Ebert says, and also Siskel can be wrong a little bit. He said he didn't like Hamill's performance as the Joker. I know. This was early on in the success, and he kind of preferred Nicholson's performance as the Joker. But they both do agree that when it comes to the Batman movies over the last couple of years, like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, this might as well go with this one.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But Ebert did say that. I think we're coming to a day when movie studios are starting to realize that animation is just not limited just for entertainment for kids, because there's a lot of things that you can do with animation that you can't do with live action, such as certain angles, certain perspectives that we see in this movie, and there's as well as some of the facial expressions for the characters. I'm now going off of his script. I'm going off his script. We look at the facial expressions of the characters, especially the Joker. It's something you can't do in live action.
Oh no.
And how fast some of the characters move, everything that, and as technology as well as manufacturing kind of gets more and more sophisticated, there are some lenses that actually can do what some people imagine in an animated form, be it 2D, 3D, claymation, all that kind of thing. It's getting close to that, but there are just some things that you can only do in animation form that you still can't in live action. And I think Mask of the Phantasm still proves that to this day.
So, you two, what's your thoughts on Batman almost getting captured by the police?
Oh, good God.
Oh, something we don't really see too much anymore. And something that needs to happen in not just more Batman stories, but superhero stories in general. That's something that probably should be looked into a bit more.
Yeah. Like, that was a close call.
Oh, yeah.
I was laughing. My wife was asking, did these police officers go to the Stormtrooper Academy of shooting?
Of course, yeah. Oh,
It's the goons from Dragons.
The goons from Dragon. What about? Oh yeah. What about the mobsters? They should. I mean, aren't they close to point blank range and they still can't hit Batman?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I can understand. Okay, I can understand like 20 feet apart the bullets miss them. I mean, bullets only move so fast, and then you got like wind trajectory, and then even the slightest tilt of an angle of a hand can kind of cause the bullet to drift off. But point blank, are you firing blanks?
Seems so.
Although,
no, that was all part of his plan. He replaced all their bullets with blanks.
How did he do that? Batman is great, but he's not that great.
The part where he launches his rope onto the helicopter and decoys them.
Oh god, that one scared me.
That is a good one.
That's a great image, and that's something that scared me as a kid. It scared me as a kid. I mean, because if that wasn't a decoy, they would have killed someone.
He would have been dead dead.
He'd had more holes in him than Swiss cheese.
Well, police brutality.
Well, back then it was okay.
I'm not going to mention the LA riots, John.
I know. Oh god, you know what was? I think what was scary for me. Also, another thing that was scary for me was that how, he like after he grabs his hand after that explosion, which oh my god.
I think he got a concussion, didn't he?
He got a concussion. His head was bleeding. Just the sight of blood on hands was frightening to me. I was a scaredy cat as a kid.
I'll stay out of my line of work.
Oh no, I'm a little much better now.
But no, it's like for a second I thought the police were actually going to be competent.
Mm-hmm.
Like so if they can capture the Batman, they have nothing to fear. They can take on the criminals. They capture the goddamn Batman. Batman power level them essentially.
Yeah, and
but if they got that close, then what the hell are the police doing in Gotham? They got that close to capturing Batman,
and yet after that, criminals can walk all over us.
Mm-hmm.
But yet he almost went toe to toe with Batman.
I know.
He was basically incapacitated.
So how are you not able to take on a clown, a guy with two faces, or half a face, a plant lady,
a human crocodile,
a big fat guy who wields an umbrella,
who has an avian obsession? You would probably like him, Ian.
along with a lanky guy who likes to make his enemies face their worst fears.
Oh, and also a guy who's obsessed with the works of Lewis Carroll. More specifically, Alice in Wonderland.
Tea time.
Good God, I think that would the Mad Hatter has got to be one of the dopiest villains ever. I mean, all you have to do is probably do a quote from Alice in Wonderland, and he probably has to respond that way.
Oh yeah, and the guy who likes to talk in riddles.
Okay, now the Riddler, especially in the animated series before the New Adventures, that was awesome. I like that episode.
Yes.
You know, the green jacket, the black shirt, that tie with the single question mark, not like Jim Carrey's later costume where it's like it's a full body suit with a bunch of question marks. Guess who I am? A confused leprechaun. Yes,
but what are the police doing?
No, they don't. Yeah.
Apparently, they like they're masochists. They like being walked on.
Kinky, but okay.
Okay.
Because they almost captured Batman, yet they can't capture the rest of his freaks.
Well, to be, well, I guess
Find
to
the
be
Joker and put a bullet in his head. Aim.
I mean, if they
not
did
that hard.
if they did that, most of the problems in the Batman world would have been solved.
Okay, let's be fair. If the cops were actually competent, they wouldn't have enough time to enjoy their donuts.
Oh, dude.
I'm sorry. Look at Look at Bullock. You know, the guy in the gray trench coat.
I know.
Yeah, but Ian doesn't know who he is.
Lieutenant Bullock.
Detective Bullock.
Detective Bullock.
And when you're a detective, you don't have to wear the uniform the police uniform for some reason.
How do you get out of that?
I don't know. I'm seeing that in a lot of stories that involve the police.
Yeah. But
Okay. The voice of the Phantasm, it was actually surprising to me. The Phantasm, as well as Andrea's father, is Stacy Keach, and I was like, that name sounds familiar. And the reason why that's familiar is because he plays Christopher Titus's father on the sitcom show Titus.
Ah, that's right.
Which is funny. Which is funny because Mr. Beaumont, Stacy Keach's role as Mr. Beaumont, is a very loving father, would do anything to protect his daughter. Ken Titus in Titus, who's played by the same guy, will never miss a chance to mentally torture his sons.
Yep.
At least he has range.
I know, the guy has range, and the guy's hilarious too. Titus has actually released all his episodes for free viewing on his YouTube channel, so I highly recommend watching the episodes. They are hilarious. They are not like any sitcom you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into it.
But what scene is the most memorable, you guys?
I was hoping we would get to this.
For me,
Let's see.
I don't know, the reveal of the Joker, because I was going into this movie blind, and when I saw him, I did geek out a bit, and then I heard Mark's voice, and I geeked out even more. But the Joker was a very pleasant surprise to me.
What about the reveal of what he was before he went all pale?
Yeah.
What did you think of that, Ian?
That was an interesting take. I enjoyed it. But
I
wish they doubled down on that a little bit more. Explained.
I don't want them to explain that, because
just a few more details.
Just a little more details, but I don't want to see the point where he becomes the Joker. I just want to see what he was before, and then I just want that the part before he was the Joker and as the Joker. I don't want any middle part.
I still think it was an OSHA safety violation.
Honestly, my favorite part is Bruce talking to his parents about whether or not he deserves the right to be happy.
The funny thing is that it's well, and not funny, haha, is that it's really just, it is a mental breakdown of really his own psychosis.
It is.
Is that he thinks that he shouldn't be happy, that feeling this way is honestly makes him feel guilty because of what he experienced. It shows that how he's still so very young and so naive to to what was essentially a traumatic event.
It is.
It doesn't seem like he got any therapy.
He didn't.
No, he just suffered through it. I mean, credit to Alfred for sticking by him and being there. But even so, Bruce never had any. He never had a licensed professional to help him work through that. And you can sort of see that toll on him, how that's affected him all these years later. And it screwed with it. I almost said the F-bomb and made John more work. But it screwed with his mind so much at this point that he either needs serious counseling to help him move on from his parents' death and try to be happy. Otherwise, he could potentially just devolve into what Alfred thinks he could become, potentially.
And
I mean, it's a noble pursuit to try to protect others.
it is.
But to do it to the detriment of your own physical and mental health, I gotta say, that's where I might draw the line. Yeah, you look after other people, but also take care of yourself.
The problem is, Ian, as we ask, who's the real Bruce? The
Batman.
man in the Batman, or what Bruce always tries to show others?
Bruce is the Batman, but that's not good for him.
In some comic lines, Batman is the real persona and Bruce is the mask.
That seems to be sort of what it is here, but it walks that fine line, I gotta say. Because he's forming a relationship outside of the Batman.
He's forming a relationship before Batman. He's forming a relationship that was not, as he said, part of the plan.
The setup for this movie really confused me on the timeline and whatnot.
Yeah, but honestly, that would have been my scene that was most memorable, other than the explosion at the end.
Yes, with Mark Hamill's greatest laugh.
Yes.
All right, now my favorite scene is honestly the birth of Batman.
Yeah.
I think it was just it was perfectly executed with the lighting, with the music, and its own separate little story. It's so it turns Bruce Wayne, and by extension Batman, into an even more tragic character. But Bruce was willing to give up his pursuit of vigilantism to marry Andrea, and they were so excited. She was excited, and then the next day, because of circumstances, he thinks that she had second thoughts, and his heart is broken. So now, with nothing else, his shattered heart, his shattered soul, he retreats down into the depths of the cave, puts on the cape, puts on the belt, and the last thing he puts on is the mask. But he doesn't put it on right away. He glances at it for a moment. I love that little pause. I love that little pause, is that he is now looking at who he's going to be for the rest of his life. That Bruce Wayne is officially dead, and Batman is born. When he turns around to face Alfred is just in shock. He is afraid, not because of just the silhouette of Batman, is because this is a young man who he has known his entire life, is no longer the boy that he knew. And that little, my God, it's just I thought it was the lighting, the shadows, the music, just that little pacing.
Yeah.
Oh God, such a beautiful tragedy. I know, I'm praising something like that, but I can't help. That felt like the strongest scene to me. What do you two think?
I have to agree. It's a really great
Yeah.
scene. It's a very awe-inspiring scene. And it's interesting how it really shows that the people making this were treating this not like a kids movie, but adults, with adults filming adult shots. This is not like most most cartoons be like the camera would be zipping.
Mhm.
It wouldn't be pausing. It wouldn't be like looking at it for dramatic effects.
Why
And
can't we get more of this stuff today for kids?
yeah,
I don't know.
Because
why.
this is intelligent. This is an intelligent story, rated PG, that anybody can enjoy. Kids, adults. We need more of this stuff. And I honestly think people are way too sensitive about this style at this point. Not just because animation's just for kids. It's clearly not. Rick and Morty, Futurama, etc., etc.
Even during the beginning of animation, which I think this animation as a topic would definitely be great for for the upcoming Den of Geeks.
Yeah.
But even
first episode coming out soon.
Very soon. Is that animation from its beginnings was not really meant for kids. It was violent, it was dark and gritty. There was the Looney Tunes, there was Disney doing like some really grand imagery, and then there was of course there's the violence, and then we get the start of it all, like Betty Boop, but before it was like that weird dog.
yeah.
Yeah, Tyler, you know what I'm talking about. That is supposed
I know what
to
you're
be
talking about, but
supposed to be
go back
referenced.
to Betty Boop. Who was she advertised for? That if cartoons for kids?
Oh,
Like-
yeah.
No idea.
The history of film and specifically hand-drawn animation. That's a whole other topic.
Like I said, topic for Den of Geeks.
I'll write that down.
Kind of the reason why I jumped into anime world, because it did treat kids like adults.
Or at least mature
Yeah.
and intelligent.
All right. Okay, so we did talk about Mark Hamill and as well as Dana Delaney's voice work. We haven't really talked to, of course, the main guy. Actually, we didn't talk about Kevin Conroy.
Isn't this your favorite? Isn't Kevin Conroy your favorite Batman?
He's my favorite Batman voice.
Voice.
He's my favorite voice of Batman. In fact, he was I'm glad you brought that up, because he's actually the reason why it's now kind of standard for Batman and Bruce Wayne to have distinctive voices. He started that.
Oh. You're right. It wasn't in the Adam West series.
It wasn't in the Adam West series. It wasn't in the Michael Keaton movies.
I need to watch that Adam West series. I have season 1 still over there on my shelf. Still in the freaking wrapper.
I still make fun of Christian Bale and his throat cancer.
Which we found out actually was enhanced digitally.
That's right. We did mention that in The Dark Knight, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
But still, quite the
Damn you,
distinction there.
I know.
Damn you, Tyler. I'm just getting over allergies. Why you gotta torture me like that, man?
It's funny
Don't
that
make me
you
laugh.
It's funny that you mentioned The Dark Knight, but you don't mention Batman Begins, probably because it wasn't as pronounced in that one.
It wasn't as pronounced.
It was honestly kind of tolerable.
It was.
That and The Dark Knight's obviously the best of the three. So,
Of course. So, oh yeah, Kevin Conroy. I mean, the fact that they also got to bring him in for a live action TV show to play a version of Batman. Granted, it was the CW. They kind of went downhill in recent years. Still, it's kind of amazing, and both Kevin and Mark, you know, they come back. They enjoy apparently being associated with these characters. Because they would come back after years, and not just in TV shows, but even in video games.
Yep.
and that's what I like, because even Mark Hamill loves playing any rendition of the Joker.
There was a point where Mark did actually say he was retiring from the voice of the Joker. The only way he would return is if they make a movie version of The Killing Joke.
Yes.
Oh.
And they did.
Okay.
They did do that eventually.
You know, I don't know if you looked up on YouTube. Did you ever see what went behind the voices on how the actors got into characters?
Oh God.
No, I didn't.
Arkham Files.
I have not seen that. No, I'll have to look that up.
So
you want
Mark Hamill, when he's trying to do the Joker voice, it was funny how he describes what goes in the voice. He's like, the laughter should be a musical instrument.
Mm-hmm. And he would actually laugh in his car because it's LA. No one really looks twice at the guy that's laughing like a maniac.
Fair enough.
But you want to know what's amazing is that in the animated series, all the cast members would actually be in the same room. Normally, you're supposed to keep them separated so that so that there's no audio bleed on the other's microphones. But they did that so that the interactions, the vocal interactions, would seem natural. Most of them would sit down. When Mark was voicing, he would be the only one standing up.
And they used some of the motions he would do into the animated series, like he's raising his fist in the air.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I hear about that from time to time in animation and voiceover work. I love it because you're embodying that character even more with the motion. Not everyone gets to see that, but when they take some of those motions and animate them, I love it. I love that too.
Yeah, I just remembered something similar like that happened in the first How to Train Your Dragon movie. When in the beginning of the movie, when Hiccup is saying, "When I see a dragon, I have to just kill it." That was they animated that motion because Jay Baruchel did that motion.
Yeah, it happened a lot, and especially in the first one. I haven't seen anything much from the second or third films, but especially in that first one, probably because they were trying to nail that first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do we have anything more to say about?
I just want to say that whether it's animated, a live action, is that there's a lot of work that goes into filmmaking, and that work should be appreciated, and the medium that it comes in should not really downgrade it's how legit it is.
No, not at all. No.
Because it's really a shame that people can dismiss How to Train Your Dragon. It's like, it's a kid's movie, but
no, it's not.
Despite what you may think, it is aimed at both kids and adults. It has a story that hit both demographics.
Because it's relatable.
Yes.
I mean, we were all Hiccup's age.
Mm-hmm.
We were all at one point.
Some of us still feel like Hiccup. Just that.
Absolutely.
Some of us look up to our dads and we want to do them proud, but we feel like we can't.
And whether it's How to Train Your Dragon or where you're trying to find your place in your community, or Batman where you're just trying to do what you think is right, potentially to the detriment of your own health. These are important stories that need to be told, regardless of medium.
Oh yeah.
And regardless of medium, if the performance is good, if the cinematography does its job,
if the writing is outstanding,
the writing that's the most important thing. You need the writing and at least the voice acting to be good. That bare minimum, that's what you need. Otherwise, doesn't matter how good special effects you have, like in Transformers. If your story and your characters don't work, it's just going to fall flat, regardless of how much money you pump into it.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. So, we've seen a lot of Batman movies. We've only reviewed 2 of them. And of course, so we got two sides of the spectrum, actually. Batman and Robin being the worst, and the Dark Knight being the best. So honestly, for Batman movies, where would you put Mask of the Phantasm?
Pretty close to the Dark Knight for me. It's pretty close.
I honestly want to put it above the Dark Knight.
I have to say that too, because like I said.
Well, keep in mind, I said pretty close. I didn't say if it got above. I just said close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no,
so it's in that range of either above or below,
depending on how you look at it.
To explain the stance, I know people will come at me like the Dark Knight has the greatest, blah 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 blah. But to me, I like the Dark Knight is Joker's movie.
It is.
All me and John did when we reviewed that was praise Heath Ledger for the whole freaking review.
And so, this is not the Joker's movie. No, Mark Hamill appears, but he's not the main star.
Yeah, even though Batman gets top billing, we did spend a lot of time focusing on the Phantasm because the Phantasm is the pivotal character of the movie.
Yeah. And to be fair, it's a more interesting take on the Batman lore.
Like all of its lore, from the campy Adam West to the gothic tones of the Burton, to its comic origins. I mean, I'd have to say when it comes to Batman, this movie nails it. This is a Batman down to its core. And
it takes, the one thing I like about it's an origin story without being an origin story. It's also, a continuation of the origin story. So it's got all in one package deal.
And it's just an hour and 15 minutes.
I know. So with that, oddly enough, we decided to give it a scale, like where we place it in the whole Batman franchise. But now let's move on to our ratings, gentlemen. Where do you rate the 1993 movie Batman: Mask of the Phantasm?
9 uncontrollable Joker laughters out of 5.
Is that good or bad?
9 uncontrollable Joker laughters out of 10.
I was going to say out of 5? Holy shit, dude.
It broke the scale. That was that good.
I got to agree. 9 out of 10. It is so good in such a short movie compared to everything else that we reviewed. This is still probably one of the best films we've reviewed in the series, of the review series, not just Batman, but period, especially for animated movies. It treats the audience like it's mature. It doesn't dumb things down for the kids. It treats kids like they're smart. There's mature themes, but they're not too mature that the kids won't understand it. But it's something that people should look into and at least give it a chance.
Mm-hmm.
You'll at least like it, if not love it, because it's a good story.
All right, so on a scale from on a scale of 1 to 10, Ian.
I agree with Tyler. 9 out of 10.
9 what out of 10?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. All right.
9 exploding old theme parks out of 10. Forgot to set the charges for the last one. I got rushed.
All right. So
Iron John showed up.
So is the next film going to be Return of the Joker?
Oh, hold on, I haven't given my rating yet. And it seems to be very universal. We definitely give high praise for this movie, and it's not just based on nostalgia. This movie has everything from story to good characters to good writing to music. It is honestly a very worthy inclusion to the Batman films, and I think it is unfairly overlooked just because of its chosen medium. Batman: Mask of the Phantasm is honestly a great film, one of the best Batman films I've seen in my entire life, and I'm glad I saw it as a kid, and I'm glad that I still watch it as an adult. So I give Batman: Mask of the Phantasm 9 claw slices out of 10.
That can be put into multiple franchises.
No, John. Damn, I should have asked this. Was there any differences when you saw it as a kid compared to an adult?
Yes, I was definitely more attentive to what was being said, because as a kid, I was unmedicated and had ADHD. Well, I still have it.
You're just medicated now.
Yes, I'm just medicated.
I was more interested in, like, the world, the eye view of your perception of the movie compared to both ages.
Okay, all right. Well, I will say this is that Batman actually kind of helped me see that costumed heroes and the people out of the costumes are actually one and the same. Because according to my mom, when I watched Power Rangers, I never saw the teenagers as Rangers. I only saw the costumed helmeted Zord piloting heroes as the heroes. I didn't know who they were underneath. So I didn't know that Bruce and Batman were the same person until it came to Andrea Beaumont actually calling Batman Bruce. So this one actually kind of helped me realize that there are two people when it comes to heroes. Was that kind of what you were?
Yeah.
What you were asking?
Yes, because I only saw this as an adult. I can never travel back in time to see it from a kid's eyes. And I was kind of curious.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do have to say I am glad I watched it. It's a good movie.
All right. So with that, we are going to conclude. We're going to conclude Nerdvana podcast. At least the movie review portion of this.
My cat's
sort of.
We're just gonna put it on the back burner for a while. Next time we are going to be doing a new part of the show. Butters, look at that belly butters. We are going to introduce a new part of the podcast where it's just simple discussion of just whatever pops onto our heads, and we're calling
most of it film related.
Most of it is going to be film.
Most of it's film related. Most of it's going to be kind of personal life. I cannot wait to bring up the topic of, guys, what do you feel is the biggest waste of money in your life that you wish you could just take back?
Oh God. And and just a quick spoiler alert for everyone. Most of these topics, if it involves trying to remember our past, most of it is going to be, geez, I can't remember that far ahead. I can't remember that far back. I literally can't.
Apparently, I have a photographic memory of my past because I can never forget it.
Oh, that means we're gonna go to Tyler for all the embarrassing shit.
I guess.
I guess. I mean, I already told you about the Terminator.
Yeah. Oh yes, the first thing you see was the passionately hugging scene.
Oh my!
Oh my! Oh my!
God damn it! Stop making me laugh.
There's so much worse in my past for embarrassment.
Yes. Anyway, yes. This is really just something that I thought of. I pitched it to the guys just to switch things up. Because as much as I love doing the podcast and reviewing movies, I think we could do more. So this is just going to be semi-spur of the moment. We're going to do video game stuff. We're going to do movie stuff, simple discussions, all sorts of stuff.
It's also so that Ian can get clips for his little copycat videos of all the YouTuber Marvel crossovers.
I already did one.
Yeah, but you want to do more, don't you?
I've got other plans, dude.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I do, but I've got some stuff in the works.
All right. So I don't know if and also don't know if all of you know this, but I did mention last month about the short film that I'm gonna be doing. It'll now start shooting. So as of February 19th, I am officially a filmmaker now.
Do us proud, John.
Yes. Give me something to review.
Yes. Give an Oscar performance.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not gonna be in the film. I'm just making it.
Okay, give us an Oscar-worthy film.
How about I just give you?
You gotta
a
get
film?
an Oscar for Best Director.
How about I just give you a film?
Okay.
Just a film that exists. It has to be better than the Star Wars Holiday Special. It has to be better than that.
Ian, I've seen stuff a lot worse than the Star Wars Holiday Special. Granted, what I've seen, if I showed it to you, you would think that was just being merciful.
Oh God.
But
by the
do we
way,
have any final thoughts? Yeah, I guess he does.
Oh, does? What?
I was gonna say nothing related to what we were saying. I was gonna say something funny compared to, like, there are worse things in that movie. Like the manga I just encountered, Sharks from Another World.
Oh, jeez.
Well, now you broke down. Tyler, this is why we don't have you on the show as much. Because you break us.
No. You don't understand, Ian. The concept of this is so ridiculous.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm gonna die like that councilman.
Yes.
Well, since John's broken, this is Ian Benoit, Tyler Thyssen, and a dying John Murphy signing off.
See you next time.
And Butter.
And Butters.
Butter.
That's me.
Bye.
Cut.